right.
All right. Okay, now Sydney.
Yeah. Let's talk about...
That was less than 15 seconds, so we can use it.
Cool. Yeah. Said the hairdresser.
Who knows nothing
Who
about
knows
law.
nothing about the law. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
the salon industry is filled with...
Everyone's a lawyer.
Everyone thinks they know
Everything.
the law. But before that...
Because they read the title of an article on Instagram.
Yeah. So let's play a game of fact versus fiction, which is one of our favorite games to play. Is it illegal to do commission hair salon or open a hair... Fuck. Is it illegal to open a commission hair salon in California? No. It is not illegal. But somehow, somewhere, someone said it was, and hairdressers latched onto that.
Oh, my gosh.
Like...
We'll be like, you should be a commission salon. And they're like,
oh,
wish
no.
I could, but I'm in California.
California, it's illegal. You are... Anyone who says that, I'm going to say this to everyone's face, you are a fucking idiot if you think you cannot do commission in California or certain states. What you need to do is get a lawyer because you are not a lawyer.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out how to make business happen.
I mean, it's pretty simple. The whole thing with California was just to make sure that stylists were getting paid because of shitty people not following the law.
Yes.
And not properly paying.
And yes, you do have to pay in certain states an hourly wage. That does not mean you can't do commission.
That means if they're in your space, no matter what, they need to be making minimum whatever it is for that state.
And this episode is not even about that because that could be a whole thing. This episode...
We're not Google. We're not
lawyers. This episode is about hairdressers staying in their lane and hiring people that know what they're doing.
Yeah. You're not... This goes with anything. When every industry does this, but we can only speak to hairdressers because we are hairdressers and this is a hairdresser podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll do it with everything. We'll be like, accounting, bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing this?
We do
And then we're
weird
stressed
shit.
about it, and then we fuck it up, and then our business goes down.
If you don't have an accountant and you're listening to this podcast, you're behind.
Get out of town.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of my eyesight. But you can get an accountant. You should get a lawyer. You should get all these people. And you not only to get a lawyer and say, you know, how do I make sure I'm doing anything legal? If you want to...
Yes, that.
Well,
but,
yes.
And
you also need to get a lawyer so that if you want to do something that's a little bit different, you need to find a lawyer that says, this is how you can do it. Not a lawyer that says, there are lawyers that will say, you just can't do it because they're fucking lazy.
It's funny when someone tells me you can't do that because there's loopholes for everything.
Yeah, tell me I can't do something.
Like, especially when it comes to taxes and things like that. Like, we have a great accountant. She's always like, if we just take this money and put it in a 401k, that money's still yours, but technically, like, she always is trying to, and I'm like, that's why we hired you.
She told us to buy a car so we could write 100% off.
Yes. She's like, have you been wanting a car? I'm like, we have been looking to buy another car.
And the funny thing is, I think people, it's not about evading taxes. It's not about evading the law. It's about hiring someone who knows what the fuck they're doing and having them come to the table with suggestions and figuring out what you want to do. And hairdressers don't do that. They're just like, my lawyer said I can't do it. Then get a different lawyer.
Yeah.
Because you can do it. You just have to find someone who's willing to work with you and make it work out in your favor.
You also need to find people that are doing what you're doing and talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, don't just mimic them and do it. Talk to them.
But also be careful. Some people
I know.
Some people are doing what they're doing, but they're doing it illegally.
That's why I said you talk to them, get all the facts about what they're doing, and then bring it to a lawyer and be like, you might be the one that be like, what you're doing is not right,
Right. And I think so many hairdressers, they're like, my favorite thing now is, well, are you going to pay me to come to that meeting? Because if I'm not getting paid, I'm not coming. First of all, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
And second of all,
and then they're like, I didn't know we were making these changes. We weren't at the meeting.
That's what we. If
also, stop having meetings every fucking like. You have to be at a mandatory meeting every week. It's like, no, like, come on. That could be an email. Could that meeting have been an email? Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to know what we do with our team?
I said, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, tell me.
We do not require anyone to do anything on our team. But that means if you don't do your job, then we're just going to fire you. So you don't have...
Every one of our coaches just went like...
They already know.
But that
like,
goes for everything. Like if you're a hairdresser, like even like, okay, we give ultimate freedom. We teach to give ultimate freedom. So ultimate freedom means our hairdresser is responsible for their schedule and how they're going to come in. But if they are constantly canceling their day, if they're never coming in, do you want someone on your team like that? You know, because that doesn't make the business look good.
This is the part that salon owners don't get. They're like, well, you know, I can't have them come to meetings because it's illegal, and I can't do this because it's illegal. It's like if someone is up your ass about all those things that you need to do to run your business, you should probably fire them.
Yeah.
If they're an asshole, fire them.
Like if
That's
we
the
have
lesson.
if we have a coach that works for us and is just like, yeah, I don't want any students and I don't ever want to, like, what?
You can't work here.
Yeah, I don't think that this is the job for you. And that's okay. Like,
Yeah. Like,
again, we're not for...
like stylists will be like, well, I had one salon owner that I worked with where everybody would show up to meetings because the meetings were not paid and they were not mandatory. But if you wanted to like be part of the team and you wanted to know what was going on,
it was important for you.
Could show up. You could also zoom in. You could also like a lot of stuff's on Zoom and recorded and watch it later. Yeah. Whatever. But
I will say that like.
But hold on, let me finish my thought. I'm gonna forget. I forgot. Look what you did to me. Look what you did. This is her fault.
Meetings, Zoom. You could also come to Zoom.
The stylist did not want to come to the meeting ever. Always threw a fit. And the salon owner was just like, she didn't know what to do. I'm like, fucking fire them.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't want to be on your team, believe them when they show you that.
Yeah.
And the whole illegal thing, make sure you're doing things legally. And when some hairdresser who knows nothing about law tells you what's illegal and what's not, get your lawyer on the phone and be like, let's have a little conversation.
Yeah, even
about what's
like
legal and what's
whenever
not.
we coach, we do not coach to legal things.
No, we're not lawyers.
No, that's out of my pay grade. Like, go. You know what I'm going to coach you to do? To get a lawyer. I'll give you my opinion.
Here's my opinion.
That's not.
Get a fucking lawyer.
Yeah, but that's what coaching is, your opinion. But I will direct them to getting legal advice and I will say, I am not the end all be all of advice. Same thing with taxes, same thing with whatever, you know. I'll say like, you should get a lawyer because of A, B, and C, but that doesn't mean that that's the legality of it.
There are 3 things all salon owners need. Probably all business people, but specifically salon owners. Therapist, an accountant, and a lawyer. Those are the 3 things that you need to run your business. I guess a coach would be good too.
Yeah, I'm like,
So 4 things. But really,
you need
even
to be held
before,
accountable. So therapy or coaching.
Before
or
coaching, you should have therapy. You should have an accountant. You should have a lawyer. If you don't have those 3 things and you're wondering what's going on, that's what's going on. Those 3 pivotal parts of someone's life, the mental, emotional intelligence of someone not being taken care of, the legal side of your business not being taken care of, and the financial side of your business not being taken care of, and you're wondering what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things. Then come to coaching. Then we can get some shit done.
Yeah. Therapy is the like, let's deal with the depth of the why. And coaching is like, okay, well, what's the solution? How do we implement it? How do we move forward?
Yeah, it's the how.
Yeah. And then therapy is there to like, okay, so this doesn't happen again because we've actually processed it and dealt with it. It's funny because we talk about therapy a lot and I've had people be like, why do I have to get a therapist to be a business owner? I'm like, you're managing other people and you're not taking care of your own shit and now you're projecting that shit onto them. Like that's why you
I'm sorry. It's 2023. If you don't have a therapist, I don't know if we can hang out. Like if
you can't sit with us.
Yeah, if you're not taking care of yourself mentally, don't come into my space.
That's how people get hurt. Take care of yourself so you can take care of other people.
I'm just taking care of myself. End of sentence. But
that's work in itself.
People like to sit there and go, why do I need therapy in today's society? I don't even know where you've been.
Yeah.
You need
I mean,
help.
that also
All
goes to I don't need a lawyer. Like, and there's lawyers on every financial bracket. So don't even tell me you can't afford it.
Or the hairdresser that thinks they don't need an accountant because they don't make enough. What?
If you make exactly why you should have an accountant because they will find that hidden money.
If you make less than $600 a year, then you don't need an accountant.
Yeah, which isn't.
That's it.
That's not happening. That's just a hobby at that point.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That was like a favor.
Yeah.
That's not even a hobby.
That's like I did like.
But I remember when I was younger, I really did think that if you only if you were wealthy did you have an accountant. Like only then did you take care of
I think a
financial
lot
things.
of our generation did.
Yeah. And I remember having my first accountant. I can't remember his name, but I was 17. He like helped me open a bunch of accounts, retirement accounts, savings accounts. And I was too young to appreciate it at the time. But it helped me now at 32 have all those things set up and beyond.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, if you can, the younger you are, the easier. It's not that it's just better. It is better because you can accumulate more wealth, but it's easier because your brain doesn't have to like fight it.
I wish I wouldn't have had an accountant a long time ago. Like even when I was in that mentality of I'm not making enough, so why do I need it or I can't afford it. I wish I think about all the stupid shit I spent money on that could have benefited. I mean, we all have the like, I wish I would have, but it's true. I think about how much more money I could have right now or how much more wealth I could have behind the scenes.
Oh, if I spent time thinking about that, I would be sad.
I'd need a second therapist.
But but then the other thing too is like my hair's looking crazy. I gotta like fix. Can I get a close up? There we go.
It's perfect. Very Harry Styles.
I don't feel like Harry. I wish I had Harry Styles' money. I bet he has an accountant, a therapist, and a lawyer. So
guaranteed.
Probably multiple. The other thing was when we started Destroy the Hairdresser, we didn't have a lawyer, and we were blogging a lot.
Yeah.
And we were putting photos from Google.
Yeah.
On our blogs, and we got sued twice.
Yeah.
That was a fun time, wasn't it? And
It wasn't two separate times. It was at the same time, but for two different images. What sucks is that we interviewed a stylist. That's what happened. And the pictures, the photographer, even though the stylist gave us permission to use the pictures.
The photographer did not.
The photographer did not. We didn't know because we didn't have advice.
Right.
That we couldn't use those pictures because they were given to us from the stylist that we interviewed.
And then the other one was a Google.
The other one was a Google image.
So it was one lawyer suing us for two different things.
Yeah, and it's a company that makes money off of finding imagery.
Like that's all they do is they scour the internet for images that are not.
And at the time, I think it came out to like $1,200 for both pictures, like combined.
Yeah.
Which at the time when we were just creating, I mean, we didn't eat that week.
Yeah, that was hard. That was a hard lesson. But I remember
we got a lawyer.
Because
of that.
So take our advice.
Learn from our mistakes.
And I think we could have to be honest, if that wouldn't have happened, I think we would have gone a lot longer without a lawyer. And I think something even, God forbid, worse would have happened. And there's a lot of hairdressers out there, salon owners out there too, that they wait until something bad happens to get a lawyer. And then they try to plead, I didn't know. And ignorance of law is not.
No, we have to be responsible.
Work. It's like
we're not the victim because
I didn't know the
didn't
speed
do
limit was 55. Well.
You're still responsible for
you're still
speeding.
responsible.
Yeah.
But I will say there's so much legal illiteracy. Is that the right? There's so much legal illiteracy. It's a lot of L's. Out there in our industry, and people just throwing words around, this legal, that's legal, and none of these fucking people know what they're talking about.
Non-competes don't hold up.
Oh, but that's my favorite.
I hear that all the time.
Non-competes don't hold up in court.
Sometimes they don't. But let me tell you, when they do, they do.
You know how I talk about my narcissistic mom way too much? So she had scripts. I've said this before. Narcissist, cannot fucking say that word. This is God's way of saying shut the fuck up about your mom. Narcissistic people have.
You need to call your therapist right now.
They have scripts. So like when she's mad, she'll have a script. You know. So when people say non-competes don't hold up in the court, it is a script that hairdressers and salon owners just say.
Yeah.
Like
I'll sign this. It won't hold up.
But every salon owner I've ever talked to will say the same thing, that non-competes don't hold up in court. It's like someone heard that and it's just been cycling. And it's those specific words in that specific order. And it's a script and it triggers me.
I'll tell you when it doesn't hold up is, so because we've been taught, salon owners were taught, okay, everyone has to non-compete. So some people would create non-competes, copy and paste from Google.
Yeah, then you get screwed because the languaging isn't right. But
not even that. They would create something because they thought they had to have it, but they never had the money to actually implement it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some salons out there that have the wealth to implement it. And
or the knowledge of how to implement it.
of thinking that this is the right thing because they have this stylist left and they owned them, and we don't like non-competes. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
But
there's
they do hold up.
The non-compete is garbage because it works.
And every time you bring that non-compete to a lawyer, they will say,
you will lose.
mm-hmm.
And I will not
because you signed it.
And not only will you lose, whoever hires you
loses as well.
Will also lose. And I don't think people realize that. If you hire a hairdresser who sign a non-compete, even if you don't know they have one, you will be sued.
You are still responsible, yeah.
Just like if you didn't know that
you hired.
Just like if the speed limit's 55 and you didn't know.
And that's why
still on you.
We are pressing for hairdressers, like not only get legal advice, but before you sign anything.
Don't sign anything.
Because so many hairdressers signed it and we'll be like, did you sign a non-compete? And they're like, I don't know.
I don't remember.
How do you not know?
Where's your copy?
Where's your copy? And then they ask the owner.
The same person.
Do we have a non-compete? Yeah. Did I sign one? Yeah. Can I have a copy? Why? You can't.
Why? What are you up to?
Yeah. And then you can't withhold documents like that.
Fucked up. The same person who doesn't know if they signed the non-compete is the same person saying that having me show up to a meeting is illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both are idiots.
Yeah.
Both are the same person.
Yeah.
But the concept of, again, we've talked about this right now in today's world, hairdressers, it's a renaissance for hairdressers. You get to make a lot of money. You get to be an artist. You get to be a creative. You can do whatever the hell you want. You, at this moment, have to take your career more seriously than everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
We've always had to do that. But now...
That's how we destroy the hairdresser. Literally. Destroy the stereotypes. Destroy what it means to be just a hairdresser. That's literally how we got the name of the company. And that's exactly it. Like, if you want things to change...
You want your dad who thought you should have become a lawyer to start appreciating you being a hairdresser. You should have an accountant and a lawyer and a therapist.
You should treat it like a business.
Your fucking business.
Yeah.
But when you're like, no one respects me, and you act like a child,
and you also don't respect
you don't respect your own business, and then it's not working.
It's not working.
Destroy the hairdresser.